G'day, listeners. This episode is proudly brought to you by our sponsors, supshq.com.au. Use BWB15 at checkout to receive 15% off and direct shipping. G'day, listeners, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of Bros with Brains. You are joined by myself, Ben Mayfield Smith, and my co-host, good friend and good sir, Scaffy. How are you, mate?
Good, buddy. Good. I'm tired.
Yeah,
Tired.
so
I'm tired. I want to go to bed. But nah, we're good. We're good. Life's good. Golf is fun. That's what we're saying. Golf is fun. Play a fucking horrible round. Golf is fun.
That's what you suck. You're trying to tell yourself.
Oh man, honestly, I play down in here at Latrobe, my home course, and the first hole's a par 3. And it's my favorite hole because I've played it to par at least the last 6 times or birdied.
Mm-hmm.
You set your day up or you set your round up by hitting par or playing a birdie. You know you're in for a good day until you get to hole 2, and it's a par 5, and it's a dog left right, and you take the driver and you hit a tree, and you're like, okay, that's fine. It's there. I can play the next shot, and then you top it, and then you top it again, and you're like, you know what, my round's done. I'm going home. Like, this is bullshit. You start so well, and you play so bad.
One hole well. There's 17 to go.
It was so bad. I think I scored because luckily it was a par 5. I think I played a double bogey. I think I played 7, which wasn't too bad. If it was a par 4, I would have been so mad. And then the third hole, just I think I played a bogey, and then I played another bogey. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to score this round. Fuck this. I'm just not having a good day. I'm tired. I'm just like, nah, I'm getting mad. Fuck it. Put the scoring away, but I've got a watch that tracks the distances.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you can keep score just so I can keep the distance. So the next 6 holes I play to par. As soon as I stop scoring, I played a par. 6 holes in a row, I played to par. This is bullshit. Even the guys I was playing with, they're like, as soon as you stop scoring, you play phenomenally. I'm like, fuck it. I don't know. I give up. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, that's how my morning and day's gone. So overcast and tired. And I feel like I'm prepping and I'm not even prepping. This is bullshit. I go to bed.
Living the dream.
Bad. How you been? You been all right?
Yeah, no, I mean, much better this week. In terms of overall digestion and what appears to be gut health. No more food poisoning, it appears, which is good because it was getting pretty bad there for a minute. It lasted about 6 days. So whether I got some sort of actual gut bacteria infection or something overall from it, whatever it was definitely not pleasant. Upwards of lost and gained and lost a total of 9 kilos in the space of 4 days. That was pretty fucked.
Nice. Take that.
It's pretty intense. But no, overall it was a good week. As we were talking about, body fat's come down, so another 3 mil this week gone, which was fantastic. Kind of what I was really hoping for and trying to align with. At this rate, if I continue on an easier path and things slow down, I still have the room to come in leaner than I've ever been. And that's without making any more aggressive adjustments, just sustaining the course, and it slows down. So that isn't the plan, but it kind of gives me a pretty confident ballpark of what the next 7.5 weeks will look like. Because I was at the back end of high 30s mils in total. I was on stage in Queensland at 32 last time. So
yeah, no.
I've got 7 weeks to beat what I was.
We call that fat.
Yeah, that's fat as fuck.
Yeah.
That's proper fat still. So, glutes starting to square up, as we saw. I posted some stories and stuff, and just it was good to see the dehydration from obviously being sick to what it actually looked like when I was flushed out. So there was a lot more leg there than I thought I had, which was good because I was getting nervous and fuck, that just seems to be fluid. So yeah, that was really good to see. And yeah, this week it kind of puts me on point to finish prep. To me, if I define the prep only by gold medal, I'll be disappointed because I don't know the competition. I don't know who's going to be there. I don't know who's turning up. Under 90s is always a stacked class because it's the guys either making their way up to the heavier classes or the guys that are short and thick.
Yeah.
So that is me. I fit in that realm. That's me. I'm on my way up into the heavier classes. So, if I only justify a good season by first place, then I'm setting myself up to be pissed off. So based on all current trajectories, I'm leaner than I've ever been. I'm going to be leaner than I've ever been, bigger than I've ever been on stage. And from what it seems to be, better posing, better conditioning, better shots. Just got to start putting together a really nice routine. But overall, like that already gives me a confident, good season. And then we move on and reassess and go from there. So big plans in place already in my head for what's to come afterwards. I'm just enjoying how this is going and what's happening and how well things are moving with my own self, making decisions and kind of guiding myself through it.
Yeah, no,
Um,
fair.
yeah, just kind of getting through now. Like I'm getting a little bit more tired. Like today, yesterday, day before, had some naps, got on the roof, got some sun, got some hot sun in the face, shirt off, just got some tan. My vascularity comes out like crazy as soon as I hit some vitamin D. So, trying to make some maximize that. So the look is nice and veiny on stage.
Yeah, try and
Um,
get your nipples out.
yeah, just
I
sort of
like it.
play with them a little bit, some
Yeah,
tassels on there.
I like it.
Put,
I like
put a
it.
show on, put a show on
Do
for
it.
everyone.
Wee wee.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. But yeah, no, so it's been good. What else? Oh, I went to the accountants and stuff today, just running through where the business is at and what's happening. And we'll be looking at building a what do you call it? A conglomerate? What do you call it? An entity.
Mhm.
Actually getting a corporation set up in
Enterprise.
enterprise in the coming probably 6 months as we start to expand into matter institute and education, matter coaching, and people that might work under me. So just for all legalities, security, safeties, and finance will be you know a new stage for the business, which will be cool. Green in the first 12 months is pretty good. So yeah,
Yep.
overall
I
it's
mean, yeah, you take that every day of the week.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely a good position to be in. So phasing out some of the I don't want to say what's the word, some of the less consistent clients and stuff like that, getting more into the guys now that are like we're starting to get known for what we do. So that's pretty cool. Um and yeah, we're just kind of building it out from that point and just sticking with who's working, what's working, how I'm working.
Yep.
And yeah, just kind of at this point now with like still it sounds so close to a lot of people, but it's still so far away. Like 7.5 weeks for show one, which means 9.5 weeks for nationals. So, there's still so long left that it's just like it's really starting to get monotonous now of just ticking over, which we know is what works.
Exactly.
There's no fancy shit here anymore. Like there's extra refeed. Like Tom got an extra refeed to fill up day the other day because he's so far ahead. Like the dude looks phenomenal. So just alleviated some fatigue, gave him another moderate high day. Um, and yeah, so we're just kind of playing it by feel now and result and progression and how things are moving. So whether we do a diet refeed weekend and stuff like that in the coming weeks, if we're ahead, if we're not ahead, whatever. But at the moment, it's kind of just like every meal's a meal. Every high day is just simply to refuel, and feel satisfied. Take over my 7 hours sleep, get my steps into the city, come back, do the same shit. I'm just trying to progress the business and stuff at the same time. Make sure I don't get bored, and make sure I don't get distracted and sort of like too fatigued.
Hmm.
I've got clients I've got clients that are willing to sign up right in the start of October, knowing that this show's like 15th. So I'm like, hey, I'll have all your plans and stuff ready. You give me your goals and what you want to do, and I'll have it all ready to go so that we don't have to do much thinking towards that point, and I
Yeah.
can just simply still give you exactly what you need. Um, but yeah, so I mean, for me to grow, have a business growing and everything during a prep where everyone says it's the hardest point, and you don't think and can't do X, Y, Z. I just don't give myself a choice. Make sure it all gets ticked over.
Sounds like a standard prep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
Who
much
would who would have thought?
a well structured one, I would say. Anyway.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. A standard structured prep. We'll call it. Um, but yeah, that's fair. I mean, I've seen a couple of the photos and stuff coming through, so you boys are definitely on target to look shredded. So let's hope it keeps on keeping on, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, like we said, the start, it was kind of like there'll always be things that go wrong, so it's better to be ahead and prepared in case they do.
Exactly
Um,
right.
so if the worst thing that happens during the prep is, the business slows down a little bit and I get food poisoning,
Hmm. I
probably not the
mean,
worst things.
maybe we do a targeted food poisoning a week out from the show. We got this.
Yeah, yeah, we got the tricks all set up. For accidental
Exactly
food
right.
poisoning.
It was a practice run. That's what it was.
Yeah. I
100%.
undercooked my chicken in quotation marks.
Yeah, 100%. We didn't clean out the air fryer on purpose. It was planned, I swear.
Yeah. Hey, overall it worked. Um, yeah, so now we'll just start looking at things like where we go with the last point. So we got 2 weeks left of this block, which will give us a good run of a macro phase from the start of prep to the mid. And then we'll look at the remaining 8 weeks as to how we deplete push intensity, dry out, manage volume, set the new block, and then kind of reassess from there how we lead into the show. We've adjusted like some rest days and stuff so that we should get our whole program completed by the Fridays, which gives us the days off probably that we need to make sure that everything's ticked off, done, sessions are complete. Haven't missed any sessions, haven't missed any meals, and then we're kind of free to just chill out, relax, get tans done, all that sort of shit. So all that's starting up, and now tans are getting booked, all lined up. Trunks are getting purchased, registrations opened up. Ticket dates will, sorry, time show times will come up soon enough. And yeah, pretty much it's just kind of like at this point now, we're just rinse and repeat every day, enjoy a hideout where we need to. It might get to a point soon where I probably just space out some food for a week and just have a full week at maintenance. Sorry, not maintenance, full week at spread out calories just to alleviate some of the fatigue.
Yeah.
And then just go straight back to high-low days. Like there's nothing there like that I need to worry about there. Like I'm in a well-versed spot that I know food's going to be there in 8 weeks' time. I know that you know, tastier foods will be there in 8 weeks' time. I know that Hungry Jacks, I know Z Pickle, and I know Donut Time will all be there when I want it. So I'm not really stressed about food. Like I said to Tom, I'm someone where I can't do like, and it's not a binge eating restriction thing. It's just I'm not someone who can do like I'll have 10 grams of Nutella and make it fit on this one tiny crumpet. Like, bitch, if I'm having Nutella, I'm having fucking 60 grams of it and I'm putting on fucking 4 pieces of toast. Like, I need that shit thick.
100%. If you're gonna do it properly, otherwise don't do it at all.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
to me, like, yeah, people have like I had 0.75 grams of Biscoff in my cream of rice. Like, shut the fuck up. No, just have some fucking sugar-free maple syrup or something like that. Like, that's more enough for me that if I have that, I'm just gonna want more. So I know in my head that shit isn't going anywhere by the end of the prep, that I'll have all that stuff to eat and blow up and I'm pushing 5,000-6,000 calories again. And we're making 120 kilos look lean. So for me, I'm more excited for that than I am so much like I could sneak this in prep. I'd rather I just embrace that I got what I got and I get to enjoy it.
It's a fair call. So the real question is, as always, what has ticked you off this week, Benjamin?
I actually just forgot we even talked about it.
Yeah.
So it got me rethinking about it.
What has ticked you off this week?
Originally I came on thinking, hey, we should talk about like what makes a good prep. So if you think
fuck that. Fuck that. Sorry about it.
Oh god, what makes a prep? What's ticked me off? I think it's so much as tick me off as it should tick off a lot of people is whether we call them charlatans, vultures, scabs, ethically questionable. But and this is gonna be two-pronged because I believe there's two parts to it. There's the business side, there's the coaching side, there's the ethical side sort of thing. And there's obviously like the business side, which is like, you know, charge your worth and charge what you justify. If people pay, they pay, that's on them. But because of the industry in which there's no governing consumer body or anything like that that dictates sort of pricing legislation or costs or anything like that, and you know, there's no real like for this value you can expect this price kind of thing. Coaches that are charging based on a name but providing no extra additional benefits to the service they're giving you, if anything, the service is probably boring or like low value. Hearing prices that people are being charged for things in comp prep that, let's say even in the worst possible like situation, it might be a natural comp and you're charging 2.5 times what the average well-versed coach is charging for like other federations or leagues and stuff like that. Like it gets to a point where at a certain level, you're just preying on people that don't know any better. And it's kind of like, again, this is where I see like a devil's advocate kind of both sides of the argument. You charge what you charge. If people pay, they pay. But at the same time, what are you charging for? To me, I can't look at a certain price tag and say a matter is worth that, whether I have like, you know, and that's going to vary obviously depending on the elite clientele I work with in the future and how degree of educated I am and what the fields are that we're coaching for. Like if I end up with a top tier athlete who's going to try and work on his mindset for the fucking NRL or NFL or something like that, very different to someone doing a bodybuilding prep that, you know, the average coach is charging $100, 150 a week. Now, to know that there are coaches or people or businesses, and I won't name names really because we're not going to attack people. We're just simply attacking the idea that extortionate prices are just borderline insulting for most people. It's hard because yes, you should do your own research and know where your price is. We always say do your own research and you should do your own study and know where you're going. But at the same time, if you know that all you know is that you've seen this person refer you to that person, say, hey, if you want to do a prep, this is the guy to go to, or this is the person to see. Here's the price. You don't know anybody. Like, well, fuck, this person got a trophy with this guy. I guess I just have to pay it. Like, and the standard of service is like, again, it's sure it lands a trophy in some instances, but if you're only seeing 10 of the 100 clients a person has, is it really landing trophies or just the good people that he's already got? And there's no real, I want to say, holy grail golden nugget part of the service where it's like that extra benefit is this and this is what was worth it. You're getting macros, program, and check-in, and maybe some posing in person. To me, if you can rationalize like anything beyond $150 for that, like you've either got too much expendable cash or you've been completely lied to about what that actually means and what that value is.
Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting concept that this whole charging what you're worth, and I guess we're piggybacking off the last couple of episodes that we've done about
Yeah,
this sort
for
of
sure.
stuff, and it's like, how do you establish what you charge? I guess from the get go, and it's a funny concept. I remember I was speaking to my barber a while back, a couple months back, and I asked him, how do you know what to charge, considering you charge one price, other barbers like three shops down charge, double what you charge, getting effectively the same service, like, what's the go? He goes, honestly, he goes, if you ever want to get a decently priced and a fair priced haircut, he goes, $1 a minute. He
Mm-hmm.
goes, on average, $1 a minute. He goes, I spend an hour on your hair, I charge you $60. I
Yep.
spend 20 minutes on your hair, it's $20. He goes, it's pretty straightforward. And then I think, would that work in our field? like, so if you think about, if you pick one client and you do like the work with for that client for that week, for an example, so between the check-ins, the assessing, if you're assessing lifts and all that sort of stuff, plus all the client interaction for the week,
Yep.
like how long are you spending on that client for the week?
Mm-hmm.
Man, honestly, some clients, I'll spend an hour on them a week because
Yeah.
between check-ins and going through everything, plus client communication through the week,
Yep.
between messaging and asking questions, checking, their videos for, if they're prepping for powerlifting comps and stuff like that, it can get up to an hour, sometimes a touch more than an hour per week. Not all, don't get me wrong, it's not all the time, but there are those times where, that'll happen. So it's like you could almost charge it like an hourly rate, which is,
Mm.
I guess your weekly rate, if that makes sense. So it's like if you're
Yeah.
charging $1 a minute and you're spending an hour, it's like $60 per week per person. If that's the case, well, then you're almost justified in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You charge $60, and then it's like, okay, well, I'm a little bit more experienced, or I have more education, so you can then sort of gauge your price from there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I just don't know how that would work with being an online coach and that sort of stuff, because I know, like, in-person PT, we know that the average price used to be anywhere between like what, $60 and $90 for a 1
Yeah,
hour
like what,
PT.
$1 to $1.50 per minute.
Yeah, which kind of makes the most sense, right? That's where
Yeah.
that sort of $60 to $90 per hour sort of comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the more experience and that sort of stuff, and
Yeah, upskill and whatnot.
yeah, and all that sort of stuff kicks into it. And I think that'd be the same with online. But to charge, you know, I guess the other side to it is, if you're getting good results, and when I say good results, I guess in terms of like a bodybuilding thing, if you're putting pros on stage, novices, and turning them into pros regularly on stage, I guess maybe you can charge more, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
regardless of sort of educational background, just purely because you're getting the results.
Yeah.
But I guess, how much do you charge?
Yeah.
And the other side to that is, like you said, people are paying it. So
Yeah, that's the scary part. Is
yeah,
just
like people really believe that, these coaches are worth the dollar value. So it's kind of like, well, fuck.
even to that though, the part that kind of gets me is the infuriation that you've been told it's worth that. Like you believe a plastic trophy and your physique composition just on a stage is worth that much money a week, that you're almost paying a rent at a house or something like that. Like, we're going through a point in time in where inflation's so high, and I get it. People have to make business and make that sort of shit. But how are you justifying in your head as a client? Like, this is like speaking to clients, like, how are you justifying in your head that you think a bodybuilding show, on top of everything else you got to do, including food and tanning and trunks or bikinis or whatever else, registrations, is worth, that much per week, that you can almost pay rent somewhere? Like, to me, that is, and I'm all for giving everything you have to what you want to do, but like the same result is achieved by how many other people, and you're like, you've been convinced somehow that these prices are worth paying for literally nothing, and from what you see, literally what you see, no different to what most people are getting. And it's like to the point that you're even hearing of people going elsewhere because like the end result was actually pretty average. And I mean, I would want to expect at these sort of price points, beyond anything beyond $150 a week, I'm borderline guaranteed a fucking placing.
Well, I guess that I guess that's the problem, right? Because then it's subjective. It's a subjective sport, so it's like, how can you be guaranteed that, if that makes sense, from a
Yeah.
coach? Like, you can't unless the coach is like, a head judge or something. um,
Yeah.
on the other side to that, and then we look at the politics of everything. But
Yes.
it is an interesting concept, charging what you're worth. I guess it's like these people deem themselves worthy, and other people deem them worthy of that price. That's why they pay it.
Yeah.
So. And I guess to your point, to some people, the goal is all it is that they want. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
that's that you, like you just said, it's like, you're trying to understand how that's their goal, but to some people that it is what it is. Like, literally,
Oh,
that's
don't get me wrong. I
yeah, like,
completely, of all people, I completely comprehend the goal required. Like, there's going to be goals that require everything, but at a certain degree, like it's just manipulating that emotion, right? Like you're being told that that's like what you pay to win. It's like, yeah, but mm,
I guess
is it?
my only question to it would be, do these coaches have as good results or better results than coaches that charge less and still put people on stage and do well? Like, if you were to
Yeah.
do like a dollar to dollar match, for example, if you pick the most expensive coach versus the most successful coach, and we'll use, I guess, the outcome of turning a pro in whichever fed that you want as the
Hmm.
the KPI for that. Like, is it the same person? So is the most expensive coach putting the most people
Yeah.
on stage and becoming pros? And if
Yeah.
not, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Like, how many people out on average are they?
Yeah.
And then you can sort of, I guess, maybe go from there and be like, okay, well, maybe this person is just simply overcharging because they're a bit, overzealous, or
But then
they're
you've
like,
also
nah, this person is the best. He can charge that, or she can charge that. So
like, then like my question to that too then is like you've got to look at the client competitor ratio to the client win ratio. Are you getting like, let's say
and
the
that yeah, and that's what I mean.
X person has 20 pro win of pro cards under their belt, but they've had like 1,000 clients,
Yeah,
and it's like you're seeing the data of like the top 1% this person has, and we it's like the Hanny Rambods where it's like that person could have gone to any coach with any sort of progressive program, drug protocol, and nutrition, and they probably would have won just on
yeah,
genetic potential alone.
yeah,
You've got those guys and you're sharing them, which is cool. That's marketing. That's what you do.
yeah.
But then, like, to say that, oh, because of those 10, I'm now charging X to everyone else. And this is what and it's like, unfortunately, people will see those results and be like, oh, fuck, he did that or she did that with these clients. I better go with them to get my trophy. And you might end up in the same position as, a placing or second or fucking, 15th, but you end up in the same position as someone that you may have charged you half that price. But again, how do you know until you know, right? So
Well, that's just it, right?
it's yeah, it's interesting concept. Again, it's not so much a dig at the person, just like is it like how you validating that pricing?
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah. What's what's your thought process as to, like, they brought you to that price point? Because it's like,
Yeah.
maybe there's a system in there that we could employ for, our own. We can turn it into the Matter Athletica Elite Strength collab on how to justify your price, or how to find your charging price.
Yeah, how to
coming
find, yeah.
coming
Take
soon.
what you think and
the,
quadruple it.
the formula.
Yeah. Because yeah, like for me, and this is where I guess I don't know, maybe I'm always going to sell myself short on this, but eventually I like to think that morally, like I don't believe that. I mean, it's the just world fallacy that good things happen to good people, or you do good and you get good. But at the same time, at a certain point, when you morally and ethically put out more value than you are charging for, in the sense that, like, you go above and beyond for your clients because you care and you want them to succeed and win at whatever that is, whether it be their goals or on stage or in a sport, that I would rather be known for that and have referrals coming for that, clients coming for that, people coming for that eventually over time, and be like, I have 10 clients, but I could druply overcharge them and they really get nothing knowing what other coaches are doing for that price point. they're not really getting anything extra. Like I just
Yeah.
couldn't do it in the sense that, for me to increase pricing, I'd have to be in utter demand and be completely flat out and know that if I'm take anyone below this price, I'm losing out myself. And I'm already giving away so much that I can't just keep giving away free stuff.
Yeah, I feel like it's a funny one. I was sort of thinking, I wonder as an online coach, would you just charge what your hourly PT rate was per week? So it's like if you charged $70 per hour for a one-off face-to-face PT, that could maybe be like your starting weekly price, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
And then it's like if you're gonna charge more, usually you either have to give more or you've had to have acquired more that
Yeah.
you could potentially give more, if that makes sense. So it's like
Yeah.
you're either giving more in terms of systems or something along those lines, or you've gone out and you know got more education
Yeah.
that then allows you and equips you to deal with more and more
Yeah.
potential issues that may arise and all that sort of stuff. So you're more equipped, and I guess either or would justify a price increase, right?
But even
So
even in saying that, here's me this year alone having done four upskill or business development courses, or upskilling courses that literally enhance not just business practice, like my skill set in general and operations of things, and my prices stay the same.
yeah, well, I guess I'd say my argument to that would be it'd have to be an upskilling course that, or an upskilling of sorts that you can apply to your clients, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
your client's
Yeah.
problem. So like business courses for you, if that makes
Well, like so more so
you
more
know
so
what I mean? Like
Yeah, no, yeah,
yeah,
I get what you're
yeah.
saying there, but more so like the way I would relate business to it is more so that I've made, like, in doing what I did, I've been able to systemize and make operations more efficient, more effective. I can get results to them better. I can communicate with them better, things like that. So the overall interaction of value seems better. And then on top of that, yeah, upskilling for sure.
Yeah.
Like the courses that have been done have been in a way that I can better help them achieve the
Yeah,
things that I want
that's
them.
what I'd be looking at.
Um,
Those courses
which
there
to me
where
then is still like I still am like, that's just part of my job. I should be doing those things.
100%, 100%. But in the terms of what we're talking about, I think they're the ones that you could use to
Oh yeah,
justify,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
an increase in price. And obviously, the increase in price will be, based on, I guess, the course, the length of time, the, skills are acquired from that course
yeah,
and all that sort of stuff. So, each to their own. But like to be charging, I guess, excess of what the higher end coaching realm charges is very interesting concept. It's just like, well, it's not even that it's interesting that they're charging it. It's more so that people are paying it.
yeah.
It's like because
But I
the
guess there is
people,
no central location of consumer understanding, right? Like, you can kind of go to a builder's like a building ombudsman or something like that and be like, what's the standard rate? What's an expected
well,
pricing?
I mean,
Am I
yes
being
and no
screwed
though, because
over?
you'd think that the client, like I know myself when obviously I've been a client, I still am a client, but when
Mhm.
I'm looking for coaches, it's like going through the process of having a chat and getting to know the coach and checking if we align, but then also, you do ask, oh, what's the price?
Yeah, of course.
Like it comes down to that, like, well, what's the price of what your services, and then you take your pick, like if you're shopping around or if you've got your heart set on that coach, which I guess could be the other side to it, right? Maybe
Yeah.
that a lot of these people are like, now I want this person as my coach only, there's
Mhm.
no ifs or buts, I don't care how much it costs, I'll pay.
They exist. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like you're right, they exist. So unless it's one of those situations and it's just much more frequent, then again you'd say that the coach is obviously doing something right.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I guess
I mean, the
charging,
marketability obviously is there because it's working.
yeah, just
Um,
charging copious amounts of money for it is just, I guess, more
yeah,
of a moral dilemma, right? Like, but again, if the person's getting the results, it's hard to question it.
yeah,
It's just
yeah,
a
for
funny
sure.
thing.
That's what I mean. Like that's why it
It's like,
wasn't a simple,
yeah,
like,
is there a limit to what
yeah,
you can charge as a coach? And
yeah. Well, that's
like
why
for
yeah, it
those
wasn't like a
listening, what's the most that you'd pay for an online
yeah,
coach?
legit
Yeah,
messages.
like
What's the most? And that's not for me to go jack up my price. It's to simply actually understand like where you guys see what the result is
yeah,
worth.
it's like, what would you pay for myself or Ben as an online coach? Just curious. And then we can just jack
Next
up our
week,
price. Yeah, and then we just, so guys, just letting you know there's a price increase
this
for,
price increase. You join the Matter or Elite Strength System,
we're increasing our
quadruple the price.
we're increasing our prices from $1 to $2 per week. That's 100% increase because
Yeah.
our services have been phenomenal. Now, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting situation, that's for sure.
Like I'm not saying that too. Like I probably every 3 months I'll do like I'll select a few clients and I'll just prompt a few questions with them and do like a sort of like a system review, a result review, subjective review, and kind of just see like, how are you feeling about things, how are the systems, how are your interactions, what do you think could be better? How can I be better? What can I do better as a business to get you where you want to go from A to B? And if there's anything that's said, it's like, fuck, take notes of that, write that down, put that on the fucking list. That's getting done. So for me, it's like there's always constantly feedback or trying to progress either the business or myself to know how I can be better, even in prep. Like every month, every month I'm checking clients to see like, is service dropping during prep? Am I slipping up anywhere? Can I be better? Hold me accountable. How can I improve? And to get feedback that things are still on point in prep, like that to me is like, that's a sign of a good system to me. Like if I were to be told I'm a piece of shit and I'm fucking costing people money without doing any work, I'd be like, fucking fire me. Don't use me as a coach. But to have that kind of reflection where people are saying, like, even during prep, where you're told most often that it's the point that it costs business or it's exhausting or, you kind of are out on your feet. I'm trying to stay on top of it, make sure that the value is where it is and the service is meeting the value and the service is meeting above expectations. And I can't do anything else possible to get clients results. So, to have that feedback to me is, well, it's crucial, it's important, but also just like I take my business that seriously. It's like my name, it's like everything that I do. So I want that, like that price point to me is like, fuck, even at the price I'm at, I'm still constantly reflecting that's good enough.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I'm going to do or what else I have where I'm going to be like, that's worth more money. I can charge more for that.
Yeah, that is a funny thing in itself also. Like once you have done the skills or added to your skill set, then feeling comfortable charging more. And I know I've had that problem in the past for years, but I guess we'll tackle that one in maybe next week's episode.
Yeah.
So we could just have like a month long like topic of how to coach online.
Marketing scammers,
Yeah.
multi-level marketing women that sell to other women coaches, and pricing.
Yeah, and then this is what you want to look for, and then this is us charging and pricing. No, sign up to our programs. I'm joking.
And here's how you join one of our systems.
Yeah, joking. But tis an interesting one. That is for
Yeah,
sure.
like it's not so much a dig at anyone either. It's more so like I've heard of these prices and I'm like, I need to know, like I need to talk it out to make sense of it because it's so outlandish to me that I'm like, hey, it's either an insult to me, it's either kudos to you, it's either kudos to your marketing, it's kudos to your results, it's an insult to your clients. Like it's some answer there where it's like it has to be something. So let's, I don't know, talk out what it is, because in this industry, prices can be super high for shit service, can be super low for good service, can be super low but have like low quality value. So yeah, it's worth exploring.
100%. Should we move into some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. What do we got to start with? Which is a better lifting song? Power Rangers theme or anti-piracy ad music? I'm gonna go with anti-piracy ad music. That shit was the bomb.
remember that video that used to come up every single time before a Video Easy video?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Tell you copyright piracy is illegal.
Yeah, or the old ones in the cinemas. It's like do not
Yeah.
record or hold the camera. It's
Yeah.
like, man, like what am I gonna do? Set up my fucking camcorder and
Kids
go
these
nuts?
days just would not understand.
Here's
All
a
that
good here's a good
straight
question.
stream ones. Yo, what do we got?
This is a good one. Should they get rid of the 212 class?
Ooh. Okay, so I guess for the novice bodybuilding listener, the men's open bodybuilding is broken down to open weight and your 2-on-2 competitors, so under 212 pounds. The main title has always been Mr. Olympia in the open class. The next, I guess, most prestigious has been the 2-on-2, which has usually been like Flex Lewis for the last 7 years, or like probably before that. Sorry.
Well, I guess would you say that that's as popular as classic now?
No.
Yeah. Anyway, that could be another debate to talk about, but that's fine.
That's another discussion.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth getting rid of because there is always going to be the unfair, disproportionate advantage of a sheer size and mass that these shorter guys may never get to. Now, proportionally, structurally, there's some elite ones there. You've got like your Sean Carria, you've got Kamal, you've got Derek Lunsford. Flex was going to, like, these guys are working their way up purely out of like sheer time that they just can't be under that size anymore. But if we didn't have the 2-on-2, you'd have the disproportionately shorter guys missing out on titles or shows opportunities because it's taken them 25, 30 years to get to that muscle density of weight where it's like you just have to add size at this point. And at this point, it's either like you add mass or you just take your shape and go to the opens, which has been Sean Calridia, and he won. So, I mean, I saw this question sort of on the bro chat a few times. It's come up a couple of times, and yeah, I don't think it's worth getting rid of because I think it's a really good stepping stone, like especially to go from like say if you choose to go from classic to opens, like Brett Wilkins did, Keon Prodigy did. I think there's a really good game there for presenting some nice shapes just without the absolute mass because purely out of size. Like if you took Keon and added an extra, say, foot to his height,
Yeah.
he's next Ronnie Coleman,
Well,
if not
yeah,
better.
it would be interesting, wouldn't it?
So he'd be washed out against the open guys if he had to go straight there because he wouldn't compete. He wouldn't be competitive. You wouldn't see him, not yet anyway. You wouldn't see him in those stacked lineups win. Um, so I think having that 2-1-2 as a not even as a secondary class, but it's just simply it gives the shorter guys as much competitive edge as the bigger guys. What I would like to see is the one they did back in like Generation Iron, where they have the short class and tall class against each other. So like the Arnie and Franco on stage, it was like kind of always like out of the overall of the final two. I think that'd be a cool. Not to say you're the ultimate Mr. Olympia, but more so like a I don't know, like a fans pick comparison or something like that, where it'd be like, Derek Lunsford versus Big Ramy or Brendan Curry versus Keon Prodigy. Like you'd see the top tier of the 2-on-2 versus the top tier of the men's opens, just as a cool comparison, I guess, more so for the public than actual trophy.
Yeah, yeah, that's a fair call.
Yeah, no, I definitely still think it has its place, just as classic always will, and I think opens always will.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting when you look at the physiques in 212. It's like, would they be able to push the opens like a lot of the top tier ones? And it's like, well, maybe not, purely because they are, I guess, a touch shorter in stature, maybe.
Yeah,
Um, Even though I guess some of the opens are quite short, but it's like, I guess, how hard would they have to push to be
yeah.
competitive in the opens on a majority, not a once-off case, right? So
Yeah, and I mean, unlike you look at your Flex Lewis, like had Flex had not retired, obviously not had his injuries, but I mean, it took his entire career to get to the weight cap he was. He was bordering on that edge of like, all right, it's time to go opens. Then you would have had the same position well, you've got the same position now with Derek, where Hammy was saying that he's Hammy or Chad, whoever his coach is basically
yeah,
saying like, look, he's losing 20 or 30 pounds just to make weight and it's washing him out. He can actually be drier and fuller on stage in open. So you're not having to cut weight. So you may see an even better look from Derek that pushes the upper top 10 of Olympia. Because you'd be reluctant to say that a first place 2-on-2 is not going to be competitive in an open lineup at the Olympias. You'd size wise at the moment, you probably get sort of like beaten just pure on mass, but then there's other guys in there who just aren't all mass and they've definitely placed well. So you'll see those top tier guys like be competitive on structure, musculature, overall conditioning. Like they come in sharp, like Sean Carridia does. So there's definitely it opens up to be interesting. I just definitely don't think it's worth getting rid of the entire class for.
yeah. I mean, get rid of the class, probably not. Um, like, does it still have its place? I mean, sure, but I think out of all the classes, I wouldn't be mad if I didn't see that class there. I think,
Oh yeah, I agree.
to
Like
be honest, out of all the class, yeah,
Classic has its draw card now being so bum steady and like that's what they're looking for. That's what they're really loving to advertise. And then you've got the opens is always gonna be the freaks that we always want to see. So yeah, I would say like 2-on-2. If anything, the 2-on-2 guys could make the jump easiest and like transition away from the division. But I definitely still think it has its place.
for shizzle. What? No, yes. What is in your supplement stack?
What is in my supplement stack?
Yeah. What is it?
So
What
we've
supplement?
got
What daily
some
supplements do you take?
D-bol. We've got no
No,
define subs.
I think
That's
just
what have we got.
standard
At,
over the counter stuff.
yeah. At this point in prep, I have just a lot of micronutrient stuff to be concerned with. Make sure it's all healthy. So, um, generally got a pre-workout, creatine. I've got a pump formula that I use in low days from Inspired. It's actually really good. It's a new product. Um, I've got I think there's an L-glutamine in there. What else do I use? Then I've got It's a protein powder I mix in with my Greek yogurt because it's delicious. Um, I use so I got some vitamin C, vitamin D, NAC, uh, talmasterine, metformin. Oh, sorry, talmazetan, metformin, fish oils, zinc, iron, and zinc, iron, and quercetin, which is really good anti-inflammatory, immune health. Just because like when we know what happens when you get so energy deficient that the functionality of your immune system shrinks with it and just seems to like, you're susceptible to a lot of sickness. So try and avoid that this time. So I got sick a fair few times last prep to kind of avoid that. I just want to make sure everything's as healthy as possible. So yeah, it's a lot more like micronutrient health supplement focus. Is it all necessary for everyone? Definitely not.
No,
It's just at this point of deficient nutrient intake, it's kind of necessary.
yeah, it's the right supplement for the right time.
Yeah, exactly right.
What have I got? I got fish oil, standard, and NAC, standard, vitamin D, standard, because Melbourne things. Metformin, telmisartan is a very, very standard one. I feel like I have something. I have astragalus in there, kidney health.
Oh yeah, sorry about milk thistle and milk thistle and something else for liver health.
Yeah, I think that's about it on my end. I'll put in vitamin B every now and then, but my diet's been pretty good with vitamin B at the moment, so I've been getting a lot of veggies and stuff in, so not too concerned about my vitamin B levels yet. My bloods when I was taking the supplement, that was a touch high, or higher than it should have been. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll kill off that, and when I get my next blood, I'll see where it's at. And if it's good, then I don't need to take it. And if it's a touch low, then maybe I'll do like a half tablet.
Yep.
Short of that, I think that's about it off the back of my mind. I think I'm pretty sure that's all I can think of. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's
when my food goes back up and energy systems are working really well and functioning properly. I get a very big diversity of nutrients in off season as it is. Like I fucking hate bodybuilders that void nutrients for extra calories or carbs for training or fucking blah 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 blah. Like I'll still run 12 to 15 grams of fiber per 1,000 to 1,500 calories, and I'll diversify that across fruit and veg and things like V8 juices and stuff. So my supplement stack goes a lot lower as food becomes higher, as it should. And I start to get like a diversity of fats, micros, vitamins, minerals, that sort of shit. So yeah, I definitely try to. I will maintain it from whole food where I can, and then obviously in things like preps where there's just such a low food that makes sense to have it.
Yeah, no, fair. Controversial question.
There we go.
Thoughts on Andrew Tate?
Yeah. And we are out. Look,
I find that interesting.
Here is going to be something that might make a few people think. Instead of saying thoughts on Andrew Tate or the fact that Andrew Tate is, controversial and causing these problems, why does Andrew Tate exist? That is the question, because we all know he's come out and he said it's very clearly an alter ego. It's a persona that he's created. There's been interactions with many people who actually said this is not like him at all. But at the same time, is that for show? Who knows? Are they defending him? Who knows?
Yeah, like is it just for trying to create a persona on social media to get a following?
The question to me is, how does someone like that gain following? And like, because we know that, like me and Brooklyn talked about the marketing side to it.
It's a platform. Yeah, he's using a platform that's built to allow him to express what he wants.
In saying that though, even if like to him it was taking the piss or having a laugh, ask yourself what environment is required for something like that to fester and grow, to enable an audience like his to be built and to have a platform like his that he does. You have to look at the socio-cultural factors that go into play for someone like him to be able to speak his mind and be looked at as such a prophet and someone who's like wise speaking. You can't say a lot of the things that he says were wrong. You can take out of context the things that he said, and that's fine. You can take out pieces of anyone's snippets and say, hey, this person said that X women are pieces of XYZ and all that sort of jazz. But if you look at some of the things that he said, a lot of the things you've said, he's simply saying or encouraging, even in his ego and his persona and taking the piss, he's encouraging men to be a lot less simple and and a lot less basic in their nature and focusing more on themselves and doing things for themselves and their goals, ambitions, life. And yeah, he adds his own little bromance, bro chats to it, like, calls himself a top G and all that sort of shit. But the underlying message is being taken in by millions of young men And you need to ask the question that is, why does he exist? What is the environment that allows him to fester and actually grow? Because if there wasn't an environment for him to exist to have that audience, he wouldn't have one. So to me, it's less about like, why is he here? Sorry, what do I think of him? And because if I say what I really think on him, I'm probably getting in trouble by a lot of people because he's looked at as a misogynist and a pig and blah blah blah. He's not, whatever. If you actually look at the reasoning to why he exists, there is a counterculture movement. There is a counter swing to the social left wokeness that is existing that is allowing him to be heard by men who are too scared to say what they think or say what they think they can say or want to say. And he's just mastered with some other like a bit exorbitant like conversation, like, talking about like, he's a lot more conservative, traditionalist, Middle Eastern in his perspectives in terms of like marriage and life and relationships, that sort of jazz. But there are a lot of men that are hearing some of the message he has to say and they're resonating with it to a degree. Why is that? So if you're saying that he's controversial, that's fine. He's controversial. The things he says, though, and let's put it this way, if he's able to, the things he's saying, if he's being accused of being like misogynistic and a prick and an asshole and like a sexist, whatever, nothing he has said has condoned violence, has condoned sexual abuse, any sort of sexual harassment. How is he any different to Clementine Ford, who has literally threatened and said that men should be killed, her husband should be killed for having a penis, who he should be like on death's door, like men deserve to be treated with abuse and actually hated. So to me, if we're going to go down the route of like one's controversial and one's not, and why is it so controversial? Why is he being chastised for what he says, but she's a journalist on some of the biggest news articles in the world?
Yeah, look, I haven't really run into Andrew Tate's stuff. I don't follow him. I didn't follow him on Instagram or anything like that. I only heard of him a couple of weeks back when people started sort of saying like, "Who's this prick?" and blah 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 blah. Yeah. Now, from what I did see of it, can it be interpreted as misogynistic? Yes. Yes. I can see why that thought process comes across. Yeah. I can understand that. I can definitely understand that. I feel what he's doing on what he had done, because I guess he's been cancelled now on social media. What he was doing on social media, I think, was a ploy. I think it was a tactic. I think it was. I think it was much more exaggerated.
Yes.
To gain an audience, to gain traction, using the algorithm to his benefit. And then if you have people behind the scenes that are closest to him saying that then that's not his true self, it would then even show more so that it's clout and that it's trying to gain following, maybe from a financial perspective, maybe for whatever reason he has. Did he go about doing it in the way that we would deem, I guess, respectful, or maybe on our moral compass a little left of center, maybe? Again,
the other side of this is, to me, is he is a Middle Eastern.
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna talk. I'm very, 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 very familiar with the cultural background. I'm very, very familiar with the religious side of things. I'm just not going to comment on it because I don't want to use that as a fallback, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because I don't think he's practicing, if that makes sense. So
no, yeah.
So I would only ever deem the religious argument if he was a practicing.
Oh, I mean more so of the sense is that he the way he describes things is a traditionalist of that sort of nature.
100%. But then he doesn't have to be that way, if that makes sense.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So
but at the same time, we're looking through the lens of a Western social white.
Yeah. But it's like also then that argument of the two twin brothers who have an alcoholic father.
Yeah, 100%. Agree.
I guess it's like I can understand that
it's not a complete cop out by any means, but at the same time, if we're looking at, say, the way the Middle East views marriage and stuff. The East versus the West and traditional versus liberal marriage.
Yeah.
His perspective, the way he articulated it, whether it be a persona or a joke, is like where you've got the modern Western situation and being like, this guy.
Yeah, look, he's definitely, like anyone else, entitled to, I guess, express his views. We live in a society where you should be able to do that freely. And then, like you said, he was causing, I guess, some sort of controversy that should make people think. It's not a bad thing in that aspect either. And like you said, the why behind everything is definitely something worth having the conversation about, if it bothered you that much, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had read somewhere, again, because it's third-hand news, so I could be completely wrong. I thought I'd read somewhere that is it his brother had hit a woman or something along those lines. Maybe, yeah, I'd read that a couple days ago. I could be completely
Obviously
wrong. So
zero condoning of that.
yeah, so and it's kind of like it doesn't make it any better. So
Yeah. No, I'm
look, I
not
got a
seeing
feeling.
that,
Yeah, I
but
got
if it was the case,
yeah, I've got a feeling it was his brother. Look, I could be completely wrong. So obviously, take it for what it is.
yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that his brother had. There's footage of his brother literally belting a female. I want to say. Again,
Yeah, see, that's not on. That's
yeah,
fucking
for those listening, you can Google to confirm. I'm not sure. I'm not going to Google while I'm on the
yeah.
podcast, but just check. Yeah, I think I read that. So if that was the case, then it's kind of like, well, everything he's about then sort of gets thrown out the door, if in a
Yeah.
sense, like
My
you can,
biggest my biggest problem that I always find when like say he comes up, right, is,
yeah,
and like I was saying about Clementine, is everyone, like, it's super easy now to say he's a POS and we need to get rid of him and cancel him. But to me, the language and tone of conviction and conversation that he's had is literally no different to a
yeah,
person like her.
oh, and there's
But one is allowed to exist and one is chastised an absolute piece of
yeah,
crap.
don't get me wrong. There's going to be always there's going to be both. There's always going to be each end of the spectrum.
Oh, sure, yeah, exactly,
Like
yeah,
we know that, and that's not going to
yeah,
ever change, and that's never going to stop. Like it's just going to be is what it is, and how we get through it as a society, and how we view it. And I think for most of us, including I reckon most of our listeners, we'd be able to try and put aside the emotional tie to the
yeah. Think
words
critically.
and think critically about why those words are coming out and
Yes.
what that reaction is having. Now, having that influence over a younger male demographic could be a potential issue. We know it can
Mhm.
lead to trains of thought and things that happen down the line that may not be, too untoward. But at the same time, we do also have those that are in the same position as females and have, whether they have that um, same influence over younger females. I don't know. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know his influence over younger males, to be honest. I've just been told, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like, I obviously don't
That's
know.
yeah. The other, that's the thing, right? Is like, it's said, oh, this influential role model or young
Yeah.
man is causing these problems. Like, but how do you know he's causing those problems? Like, you've heard what he said and you interpreted that as, well, this is going to cause problems, therefore I should write an article on it causing problems. They did the same thing with Peterson, like towards the start of his explosion, where it was like, oh, this man is a X-phobe and this phobe and this and that, and it was like, shut him down and don't give him the audiences to speak to. But he resonated with his audience on YouTube and ended up being something like 70% males between the age of 25 and 35. They're looking for a reason to exist and things they want to do in life. And he was just simply discussing in ways that hadn't been said to them before. That wasn't so much as like a, hey, you need to open the door and bend the knee and be like the kind of simp and sort of like that perspective. It was more so you need to have a purpose to yourself and goals in life. And he got sprayed with like, he's a pig and an asshole, and he's this phobic and oppressive, and he's leading to everyone having this thought for themselves that they should be that way too. And it was like, well, the reality was he was actually just telling young men to think and teaching them to think and kind of showing them another side of the argument.
Yeah. Well, we know that, certain that we know everyone's got their good and their bad, right? And I think the funniest example is like Dorian Yates. Like in the bodybuilding world, we all love Dorian Yates. We think he's the bee's knees, and I think people
Oh yeah,
forget. I think people forget about the comments that he made about the whole Holocaust thing, and where
I've forgotten. I've definitely forgotten.
where he said that he didn't believe that Jews were being
Oh yeah,
killed
yeah,
in gas chambers and shit, and it's kind of
yeah,
like, probably don't say that.
yeah,
Touchy subject. So
yeah.
like,
Let's leave that one out.
yeah, you know what I mean? It's kind of like,
Yeah,
but I think it's more so, like you said, it's the thought process as to why. I think, being in the fields that we are and obviously trying to problem solve a lot of the time, it's kind of like, well, why? Like what's brought you to this conclusion or these thoughts? And, what's your thought process behind that? Like explain that to
yeah,
me because I'm curious, not so much the outcome, but what got you to the outcome.
yeah.
And I think they're trying to think as critically as possible about a lot of things and a lot of people, not just, I think, Andrew Tate. Not that I
Yeah.
know him from a bar of soap, to be honest,
I
but
also think, like, here's a big problem, right? Is someone will say, nine good things, and the one bad thing dismisses the nine things that they've said. And people often throw the baby out the bathwater way too quickly. And me personally, I try to look at what's being said and what the point of the conversation is, what it might mean, why it's being said. Because when you do that, you take the chance to learn and understand and shift your perspective and possibly take new things on board that you hadn't thought about. And as Peterson says, listen, talk to people with the intention to listen. They may teach you something. And so for me, that's always a big one that I may be challenged, I may be frustrated, but at the same time, if I'm looking at what's being said and why, I have the chance to learn, or if not improve my perspective further. Unfortunately, a lot of people will say, well, this person said one bad thing, let's dismiss their years of evidence and research and data, throw them out, throw the baby in the bathwater.
Yeah, I mean, we're not. Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's like we're not saying we share the same views.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean? That's not what's coming across. It's just that trying to be as diplomatic almost as possible, right? And trying to be like, okay, well, why did the person say what they said? And it's not just this person, Andrew Tate. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of a lot of people say, how many times have you said some stupid shit? And I'm like, bro, how did you get to that conclusion? Like, run me through your process. Yeah. And it's the same thing. Like, I know I've said some stupid shit, and people have been like, dude, where the fuck did that come from? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm tired and hungry. Like, I don't know. Like, this is the thoughts that fester in the back of my head. So, like, and I think the only difference is this person's put a lot of these thoughts on some social media platform. People have resonated it and blown it up. Like, so, what can we do?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my thoughts on the person are really nil. I don't know him from a bar of soap. So
I just don't personally think you should be cancelled for having an opinion that's just like, unless it's genuinely inciting violence. To say that you should have your account removed when there's others say worse about the opposite side of the sex spectrum, to me, it's like,
I'd have to go through more.
You have to be, you're entitled to disagree. And by all means, like when I put up like on the Matter You podcast, I'm like, I always say, if you've challenged this, if you have a different perspective, if you think I'm wrong, if you want to understand more, like message me, converse, leave comments, like let's engage about it. But to simply just say like, I don't agree with this, therefore get rid of the big bad man, that always frustrates me. And if anything, as someone who tries to be a centrist, I'm going to be more inclined to favor the person being cut off for simply making statements that you don't agree with, because in the sense that you're saying we all have the right to free speech, you're essentially restricting his speech.
And I would be very, very interested to see, I guess, more of the stuff from an educational standpoint, or a curiosity standpoint, probably a better word to use, not educational. Because I just honestly, I haven't come across his stuff at all. So it's like I have very little information to go on to make a fair assessment of what I've seen. And from what I've seen, I'm just like, that doesn't.
Again, don't take this as like we are fully endorsing.
It doesn't bother me either way.
It's more so like, you have the right to think critically. You have the right to read. Like, you have the right to take on something someone said and not agree with all of it, and not disagree with all.
Yeah, I feel like this would be a different conversation if like my 12-year-old cousin or 13-year-old cousin who's a male came up to me and said, "Hey, cuz, like, look what this person's saying. Like, what do you think? Because I think this is true." I'd be like, okay, well, now we need to have a conversation, if that makes sense. But
a bigger influence on too many.
You know what I mean. I think that's a different story. But I still haven't seen what he's put out. I've only heard it third hand, so I don't know. So I can't. Sorry,
and that's where objective conversation is so crucial. You're willing to say, "I don't know."
Yeah, like I genuinely don't know. So it's like my opinion of him is non-existent. To me, he doesn't exist. I really don't care.
Yeah.
Probably the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But anyway, let's leave it there. Only because I got to get to work.
Hour went by quick.
Yeah, it did. Time flies when we're having fun talking about weird shit.
Weird shit.
As always, do you have anything that we need to know about coming out?
No, just move along with things that are already in motion and being worked on. So small podcast episodes have been released, content's going out. So just keep an eye on that. And when the courses and things are done, we will check in.
Beautiful. I've got nothing going on, but I will be back online hopefully next week. Your screen
has frozen on the funniest picture of your face, and it is hilarious.
I believe I will be back online, so hopefully this will come out Saturday. So from maybe Sunday or Monday, we might see some more posting happen on the reg. Should be back, hopefully. We'll see how things go. I say this now, but let's pray.
All right, dude. I will let you go to work.
That is it from us, as always, ladies and gentlemen.
Subscribe, follow, watch the YouTube.
You know the drill.
Tell us if you disagree. I don't care.
If you have questions, always message Ben.
All right, guys.
Catch you later, guys.
Peace.